GPT Image 1.5 just dropped, and I rarely say this, but we're getting to a point now where you can barely tell that it's AI. Not only are the images more crisp, but especially when it comes to the details like text or very specific editing, GPT Image 1.5 is quickly moving to the top of the leaderboard. I've been hammering this for the last couple of days, and the big surprise is this. It's not really the best at generating cinematic images. Midjourney still wins there. But for image editing, taking a real photo and changing one thing without wrecking the rest, this is among the best I've seen. Right now, I'm using it for things like thumbnail ideation, some product mockups, some social media stuff, and we've moved all of our automations using images to GPT Image 1.5. So in this video, I'm going to dive deep and we're going to go over 18 different use cases for using GPT Image 1.5. Now, in order to use this, we're using Higgsfield.ai, and you simply come up to Image, select Create an Image, and it will open up a screen like this. In the drop-down menu, we can select GPT Image 1.5, and we have the ability to generate different qualities. Obviously, the higher you go up in quality, the more credits you will use. And we can generate in 3 different aspect ratios, 1:1, 2:3, or 3:2. Now, the other thing I like is that we have the ability to do batch sizes here. GPT Image 1 never allowed that. It was only generating one at a time, but now we can actually generate multiple images at a time. So let's dive in and create this first image. So we're doing a photoreal studio style photo of a 2010 HSV Club Sport. There's a little bit of Aussie bogan in me still. I love the club sports growing up. And then we are going to do a generation here that pulls out the specs. And then on the right-hand side, we'll show all of the components of that club sport. So let's open up this image here. And you can see that it has now pulled out all of the important parts of this club sport. So overall, I think that looks pretty cool and such a great car, a great sounding car as well. So that's the first prompt that I wanted to do. Now for the second version, we are going to generate a Mario Kart inspired character select screen. Now I had to say Mario Kart inspired because of the copyright issues. And sometimes even just saying this much, the images won't get generated. But let's see what comes up for this particular generation. So it has come up with sensitive content on one, but we might actually get the second generation. So it's actually generated the second one. I mean, it hasn't really done the Mario Kart inspired version. Overall, you can generate yourself into what feels like a bit of a nostalgic, very early rendition of a video game that we used to play back in the day. So overall, you can see that's pretty interesting. Obviously up here, the text is pretty much perfect. Acceleration, getting that right. Okay, weight is added here twice. So we might want to do some editing if we were doing this. But overall, it's a pretty solid generation. Next, we're going to upload 2 images. So one of them is of me. One of them is from a scene in Top Gun. And we're going to see if we can actually take both of those objects, but create a new environment reference using both of those objects. Now here you can see the output that it has generated. So overall, I think it's got this right. My face looks a little bit better there, probably even a little bit sharper than what it normally would. But overall, it's taking the prompt plus the couple of reference images there in order to create a pretty on-brand type of output. Here's version number 2. Next, I'm going to generate a photorealistic shot of an Australian kid's lunchbox from the early 2000s and see what it comes up with. So I added a few ideas here, a few things that we used to have: Devon and tomato sauce, juice box, a muesli bar. Usually we'd have a banana, something like that. And we're just going to see what it can generate from scratch for this particular image. Let's have a look. I even remember the little split sections inside of here. I mean, the Uncle Toby's is close. I remember those bars. I imagine that should say fruit yogurt. So a couple of those things are off. Tiny teddies, I remember those things. Carrot string, maybe a carrot string. Carrot sticks, I don't even know what a carrot string. Overall, it looks okay, but probably a few more mistakes than what I would actually expect. These ones are a little closer as well. Slightly less mistakes, but there's still a couple more mistakes here. Even getting the logos correct without giving them a reference, or like very close to being correct, is quite impressive to me. So there's still a bit of a way to go for understanding everything on the internet and when it comes to logos, and maybe doing some extra research before it creates the image. But overall, it's a pretty decent start for the very first prompt. Next, I'm going to take a couple of icons of Australia, Steve Irwin Crocodile Dundee and place them into a set of the Australian TV studio in the 1990s. So we used to watch Hey Hey It's Saturday back when I was a kid. Maybe we would get some pizza and sit down on a Saturday night and watch that. And it was like the very early reality TV show in Australia that everybody tuned into. An iconic moment, and let's see what it comes up with for this particular generation. So if we open this up, I mean, Crocodile Dundee looks pretty good there. Steve Irwin is close, so not too far off when it actually comes to generating the public figures from here as well. Next, we're going to say create a realistic vintage Matchbox blister pack. So the toy inside is a Lamborghini with correct proportions and paint reflections. Put it on a shelf scene, sharp focus, realistic plastic glare, authentic cardboard printing texture. So Matchbox cars were a big part of my childhood growing up. And honestly, this reminds me almost 100% of a Matchbox car that I had. I remember having a yellow car exactly like this. I remember the actual packaging looking very bright like this as well. So I think that's a great version. Obviously up here, they've tried to do like some sort of barcode and it hasn't really worked that well. But other than that, I think that's a great generation. Let's see what happens with number 2. And again, like the image up here looks good. There's just a little black bit at the front and back that it hasn't got that well. But overall, I think that's a pretty decent generation. And now we have a makeup tutorial with a character like Miss Piggy. And I think this is where the saying you can put makeup on a pig comes from. But the generation here is to show like a makeup tutorial of the pig. I would say it's got the makeup correct, but it hasn't really changed the face at all. I think if you used a human, you could probably get that to follow and maybe changing the prompt a little bit to change based on the actual application of the makeup itself. So let's maybe try that with a real model. So if we have a look at this one, base, eyes, cheeks, lips, final look. I mean, there's not a whole lot of difference there. So it probably needs a little bit more prompting in order for the prompt to understand what we're looking for there. But at the very least, it's actually got the model fairly correct. I mean, the model looks the same in basically every image. So it's very rare that you see that happen with any of the earlier models. So I would say it's done well there. It just hasn't understood the before and final. Like they're basically the same, right? And this one hasn't understood the tutorial at all. Next, let's see if we can add me into a gameplay inspired frame of Nintendo 64's GoldenEye, another great part of my childhood where I remember taking days off school, pretending to be sick just so I could play GoldenEye. And I would play it for so long that I actually did make myself sick because of the dopamine rush, I would imagine. But let's see. Overall, this one's not too bad. It's not really a point of view one, but I was asking to be put into the image itself. This one didn't really get the face right, but again, it's a pretty decent generation of GoldenEye. Let's see if we can find an image here of one of the original GoldenEyes. So if we open this one up and compare it to what it's generated, it's actually pretty close, right? Like it's not far off at all, maybe slightly better graphics than what we got back in the day. Next, we're going to see if we can generate a theme park inspired by the original Roller Coaster Tycoon, another game that I enjoyed back in the day. And we'll see if we can add the person, being me, into the actual gameplay itself. So this one should be not so much a point of view, but I mean, it's definitely not got that right. I almost look like a Supreme Leader statue in this one. Let's see if the other generation actually works a little bit better. And no, it hasn't really understood what we're looking for there. I mean, if I was a game reviewer and we needed to do a thumbnail on Roller Coaster Tycoon, maybe this would actually be a good generation, but hasn't just really understood the look that we were going for. And I mean, we could probably prompt that. Let's actually try and see if we can prompt it. But while that generates, if we check out the text here, the dollar amounts, the year, year 2. I mean, I think, yeah, that could make sense. Year 1, year 2 of the game. Then it's actually done a good job there. But yeah, it's just not understanding of like making the little people, turning me into one of those characters. But let's actually, I didn't check out the detail in the background. So, I mean, like that definitely looks like Roller Coaster Tycoon. That one, the detail in the background here. So the roller coaster, I think, yeah, the detail itself looks fine. Like maybe this roller coaster is not really lining up well, but overall, I think it's done a good job besides the addition of my head into that particular one. Next, we're going to try and combine 3 images here of me driving a Ferrari in Monaco. So let's see if we can combine the 3 and what type of image it comes up with here. So if we check that out, I mean, there's no windscreen here at the front, so that's a problem. And here is a little bit better, but my head is absolutely massive in that one. And it's not really showing the full car. Let's see if we can make this a little bit bigger. See if we can make it a long shot. So by fixing up the prompt, we got a slightly better version. I'm not sure about who this creepy person is next to me in the car, but that's a slightly better version. I mean, overall, I like the background. There's too much contrast between the two. The road doesn't look that real, but the background actually looks very real. And it's usually the opposite, right? Here, it's really messed this one up. So I wouldn't say that that's great at all. But I mean, here, the car doesn't look right. Here kind of looks a bit off as well, but it's still kind of better. But overall, it's not far off, right? Like this one here, you could probably do a little bit of editing, maybe reimpose the car again, and that would actually work. Next, we're going to see if we can superimpose me into another classic show from back in the 90s, maybe 2000s, called Gladiators in Australia. I remember that was another one that we used to watch on the weekends, and we're going to see if we can actually make this one work. And there's going to be some pretty funky looking outfits, I would imagine, for this one. Let's see what it comes up with. It's actually pretty solid. So, I mean, I wish I had arms and shoulders that big, but it's actually pretty decent in terms of what it's generated. So I did ask it to do an action shot. So it's a mid-challenge shot. So it's just used the set as a reference and then come up with a challenge that looks almost exactly like what we used to watch back in the day. So I think that's a pretty cool generation. The next prompt here is if you've just been through a breakup and you want to do a bit of flex and show off to your ex that you're actually on the up and you're actually ready for post-breakup glow. Let's see what it comes up with here for a couple of the images. So overall, it's not really matched in my image there very well at all in the first one or the second one. That's definitely a different person. But I imagine we should be able to change that and make sure that we're actually getting the right image in here. So yeah, it's actually made quite a big mistake there. Next, we're going to see if we can put me on the cover of Golf Digest. I played golf when I was younger. I was off a handicap of 2 at 16 years old, and then I came across girls and alcohol and went downhill very fast from there. But I have had a great life since, and if I could go back, I would probably continue playing golf and do YouTube golf. I think that would be a great career path, but for now, we just dream about it. Let's see what we come up with. I mean, that's like a bit of a feminine swing there on the cover, but let's check out the other parts of the logo itself is great. 5 easy distance tips before. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty decent. The title list is even very close, and that's quite a hard logo to get. They've messed up this bit a little bit, so there's a little bit of extra text there for some reason. Power Up Your Game looks great. And over here, it's kind of got a little bit tired and just not got that right. Let's check out this one. Again, a very feminine type of swing there on the finish, but everything else is actually pretty close. I mean, the font is, when we're asking it to do a lot of font, it gets a little bit tired in some places. So it gets a little bit tired here, but it's very close. Like at least the spelling is correct. The barcode is almost identical to a barcode. So overall, a pretty decent generation. Actually, I don't mind that one. It's almost got like a bit of an Adam Scott vibe to it as well. Next, we're going to generate a candid photorealistic Australian backyard with me naturally in the scene. So let's see what it comes up with for this. So if we check that out, I mean, I wouldn't really call this an Australian vibe. To me, it's a very American vibe. But at least the image is close. This one's not as close as the previous one. This one's pretty close to what we actually added in. But the vibe is, yeah, it's not too bad. But again, like just generating from scratch, GPT Image 1.5 is just not there yet. It doesn't do the whole cinematic look that well. Now, remember the old Nokia 3310. What a classic phone. I remember getting that when I was in high school. I think maybe year 7, year 8, sit in class playing Snake. And the thing was just unbreakable. I mean, it was a little bit chunky in the pocket. I like how they got smaller back in the day. But that was a classic phone. I'm sure many people would love to go back to that. So we're going to deconstruct that in midair and see what it comes up with. If we open up this, I mean, pretty solid, right? Like the battery, I think that's what it looked like. I mean, I wouldn't know what the chip looked like, but I remember you could pull that case off the front and then the buttons would pop out as well. Now, I'm not sure the antenna was actually part of the image, so it hasn't got that done very well. This one is slightly better, but I mean, all the detail is not that great. So again, like these ones that we've asked to deconstruct, it's done it, but it's not added in a very good generation of the text and the real details here. Obviously, the details of the buttons don't match what's up on here either. Let's check if it got this one right. Yeah, I don't think they've really got the buttons right here. So it's still lacking a little bit of detail when it comes to these types of generations. Next, we're going to generate an image of me as a Baywatch lifeguard rescuing my future wife. And we're going to see if it just combines all of these images into the one scene with the 90s TV look of, the famous Baywatch. And let's see if it can do something decent here. No matter what I did there, it just would not let me use the image of Sydney Sweeney. So let's just see if we can just remove her out and just do a general lifeguard photorealistic TV on a beach and see what it comes up with. No, so pretty heavy guardrails when it comes to things on the beach, which I don't like about ChatGPT. It's way too strict, and I kind of get it because they're under so much scrutiny from the public. They're under the public eye. But a lot of the Chinese models actually allow you to generate those types of images quite easily. So we're actually using Chinese models a whole lot more now because of the less restrictions. Now let's see if we can put me into a DVD frame from the P90X. Fun fact, that's what got me into fitness when I was 20 years old. I just went through my first ever breakup, first ever broken heart, and I decided to stop drinking and taking drugs all the time and start to work out. And it was from there that I then became a personal trainer, did body transformations, and haven't really left the gym since. So overall, it was pretty decent. And yeah, that's pretty funny. Pretty funny indeed. Overall, it matches everything. It's got the same vibe, very determined look there, and very determined look from the instructor. That one's a little bit closer. He looks a bit younger than what he is there. The shirt is actually pretty good in this one. Didn't get the shirt in the second one though. That one's messed up a little bit. So another interesting generation. And finally, we've done a cartoon inspired by Rocco's Modern Life. So overall, it's pretty interesting. The text up here, not that great. The rest of the text is actually pretty decent. Let's check out this second one. And again, so overall, quite mixed results. This first one, the text not so great, but the others have worked out pretty well. So overall, ChatGPT Image 1 is an improvement, but it still has a long way to go. There's quite a few things that it doesn't understand. There's still quite a few mistakes in terms of image generation and image editing. But it is a step forward, at least. Not only are the images at least an improvement, but it does cost 20% less inside of the API. So I would be using this inside of any of the automations that you have purely for the fact that there are better generations, plus it also costs a little bit less. So that's ChatGPT Image 1. Watch this video next.